What's up everybody, this is Vanquish X and today I'm bringing you guys my review of Warcraft. Now I know next to nothing about Warcraft or World of Warcraft. I only know Azeroth and the Lich King, and of course he isn't in this movie and won't be for many sequels to come, so I am a full-on noob when it comes to Warcraft, and that's exactly what this is going to be, a noob's review. And didn't that affect the film? Yes and no, but I'll talk about that a bit later. So in the story of Warcraft is that the world of the orcs is dying, and to get to a new home and make sure their race continues on, a portal is opened to Azeroth, the world of the humans, and the horde goes through said portal to invade and make Azeroth their own. Along the way, Durotan, the chieftain of one of the orc clans, begins to distrust their leader Gul'dan, and his clan go to the humans in hopes that a pact or some sort of truce could be made to take down Gul'dan, as his methods are getting completely out of hand. The story is handled pretty well. Duncan Jones and his team has gone through however many years of lore and games and somehow managed to make a story that manages to flow through the whole movie for 2 hours, even though it does have its problems with the way pacing was handled and other things, but the story did draw me in and kept me entertained from the 2-hour runtime, so Jones handled that pretty well, and you can see a lot of great directing in this movie, especially in the opening sequence, and there's just certain shots, the action sequences, his directing skills are great, he just knows how to plan things, so Jones gets a thumbs up in my book for that. When we talk about the characters, there wasn't enough given to them to make me emotionally attached to all of them, and I feel much of the human cast was actually miscast, such as King Lane, played by Dominic Cooper. He just seemed weird in that role. He almost seemed like he didn't like being there, and he didn't put in half the performance that I expect from him, as he's a great actor. Also, the young mage could get annoying at times, like really annoying, so there's him as well. But I did like most of them, but only 2 stood out to me, and those are Lothar, who is just such a badass. He kills things awesomely, he's jumping off buildings, he rides eagles, he's a funny and cocky bastard, and is just a cool character. Also the family element with his son made him stand out more from the rest. And there is Durotan, the chieftain that distrusts his leader, who is played brilliantly by Toby Kebbell. He did such a good job of that character. I could feel what he was going through, just wanting his people to survive and continue as a race, plus keeping his own family safe, and all that was beautifully portrayed here. I would have loved if the movie stuck with Durotan and the orc side more, as I was more invested and interested in that side of the story than the human side. Also, Toby Kebbell is definitely the new face of motion capture. When Andy Serkis bows out of that world, hopefully that isn't anytime soon, Toby Kebbell will be the man at the top of that business and the next motion capture star. He does an amazing job of mocap characters. I can't wait to see what he does next so we can start forgetting about this thing. So when the action kicks in, oh man, the action is so bloody awesome. It's by far the best part of the movie, and I just didn't want it to end when it all went down. Seeing giant hammers crush a human like a peanut, orcs lifting and flinging horses like they're made of nothing, and seeing Lothar and his soldiers going into battle in the awesome armour, all looks amazing and is done brilliantly. Everything builds up to those battles and it's definitely worth the wait. The battles are on a massive scale and are all laid out very well. Nothing is missed, unlike say Transformers, but you can't tell what's going on half the time. The battles are just great fantasy film fun and are well worth the price of your ticket when it gets to those moments. Now I'm going to talk about the faults of the movie. First off, the pacing was pretty badly done, as it jumped about a lot and felt quite erratic. The film would go to this place and the next place, go from human to orcs, the characters would go talk to this guy, go get another guy, go back again. And that stuff is great for an mmorpg when the missions can run like that, but for a movie it doesn't really work. I think it should have stuck to a side for longer, such as stick to the orcs for a while, give us their story and their livelihood, give us more insight into the different clans that are living amongst each other and why they need to do this, and then go to the humans, show us how they react to this invasion, learning that there are beings out there that they have never seen or heard of before, show us the individual stories of these characters, build those relationships we see on screen. This would have most likely developed them more and allowed us to get an emotional attachment, or just to get us to care about more about each individual. individual. Overall, that would have improved the pacing issue. The CGI in Warcraft for the most part is good and mixes together quite well when you see the orcs with the humans, especially in the mocap work. But it started to falter during some scenes, such as when Garona, the half-orc hybrid who is brought to life with practical effects, she has prosthetic teeth and ears and then she's turned green in post-production, but when she is in a sea of other orcs it started to look bad in places, as Garona being made practically let the CGI stick out like a sore thumb. Another example is when Medivh, the really powerful mage of the film, is doing his magical things and corners off the orcs with his spell so Lothar and the others can get away. They just looked terrible here and could take you out and disturb the scene as a whole, as the CGI just didn't hold up like the rest of the movie, but it worked well for the most part and the great mocap is definitely a highlight here. They did a great job with that. Okay, now I'm going to talk about the thing I mentioned in the beginning about not knowing much or anything at all about Warcraft or World of Warcraft and whether it affected the film or not. The answer is yes and no. If you go into this knowing absolutely nothing, it's like a history lesson, with the names of places and characters, magical spells, or just the things they talk about. It's a lot of information to take in for someone new to this world. You're getting absolutely bombarded by it in the face and it can take away from the experience a little bit, but it doesn't stop the film being entertaining. At least in my experience anyway. I thoroughly enjoyed what I was seeing on screen, the human army in their awesome video game looking armour, hulking orcs just decimating humans like they're made of nothing, their weapons just absolutely crushing them to smithereens. Seeing their worlds such as Azeroth, Karazhan, I think it was called, Medivh's stronghold, Delaran, the home to powerful mages that floats in the sky, and that was a spectacle to see. It looks amazing. So if you know nothing, it can harm your experience, but you're still able to get enjoyment out of it, especially if you're a fantasy film fan. And I know the full-on fans of Warcraft are going to get one hell of a kick out of watching this thing. So Warcraft has a good enough story from the film it is, as they had to go through a shit ton of lore and all that stuff, so them actually getting a decent story out of it was a big surprise. The action is amazing. When it happens, you just don't want it to end, and their characters are all good in their own right, but the film doesn't allow you to care for all of them, or give you any emotional attachment to them. The only two standouts are Lothar and Duratan, who is again played brilliantly by Toby Kebbell. The pacing is the film's biggest problem, as it jumps around and around for most of the movie, and the CGI could falter in places and look bad, but it holds up for the most part. Also, if you go on with no Warcraft experience, you kind of feel like an outsider that has just been flung into a history lesson, but it doesn't stop you from being entertained. Warcraft wasn't terrible or a disaster like the critics are saying. They're absolutely destroying this movie in the reviews, and I think it doesn't deserve a lot of what they are saying after experiencing the movie for myself. And I can proudly say that after seeing Warcraft and looking at the video game movies that came before, it's definitely above the fold and the best video game movie to date. It's not the first great or amazing video game movie, but it's the first actually good one, and I think this means great things for these types of films. For all of this, Warcraft gets a 7 out of 10.
Why are you here?
To save our people.
It's just fantasy film fun, and I did get a good deal of enjoyment out of it, and again, the massive fans of Warcraft are going to love the crap out of this movie. Well, that's it from me guys. If you liked the video, rock out on that like button, leave a comment and tell me if you guys have seen Warcraft and if you agree with the points I spoke about here. Also, just speak about Warcraft. Also, don't forget to subscribe, as it does really help me out guys, so thanks very much for watching and stay tuned for the next video.
Yeah.